And I got to tell you, this Prime Minister Ardern, oh my goodness, she is Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris all rolled into one. And you look at her speak, she can look almost pleasant until she gets to a sticking point, a point of you're going to comply or else. And you can just see this evil spirit come out of her. And I'm not saying this to be mean, okay, or disparaging. There's just like something overcomes her, and like she just changes her whole demeanor, and everything in her changes, and you just see pure evil. I mean, it's like she's almost scary.
The Queen of the Left, Jacinda Ardern, is breathing the same air as us. An ANU professor...
I'm a fanboy. I'm the first to admit it.
Yeah, he said this about her. She's regarded as a bit of a show pony who's not delivering. This is because she made promises about, a billion trees. Hasn't happened. She promised about changes when it came to who could buy property. Hasn't happened. A cutback in immigration. Hasn't happened. She was a former president of the Young Socialist Society. That's what she was before she was a Labor MP.
Well, it shows, doesn't it? Except she likes the soft and fluffy side.
Comrades, we are now in the perfect storm.
Jacinda Ardern has locked down New Zealand over 4 cases. Those aren't even deaths or hospital admissions or mass kind of spreading events in major conurbations. This is just 4 cases. And she's reimposed one of the most drastic lockdowns there is for a further 12 days, as it was. I'm not sure people are aware either of a massive sweeping power grab that went through Parliament just at the start of all of the COVID. Went through Parliament in under 24 hours without public consultation, and it means that Jacinda Ardern and her henchmen can enter your home without a warrant. They can take you away and hold you in a detention centre for quarantine if they suspect you of having COVID. And as is now being done with these 4 cases, they are being taken away, held hostage effectively to the government, and will be held there until such time as they can be released. This can happen to family members as well, and they can be held separately. So you can be taken from your home forcibly under guard, held hostage in a detention centre, removed from your family, all because you tested positive for something which is effectively like a flu. And this is going on right now in New Zealand in 2020. And it causes me to reflect somewhat on why it is that Jacinda Ardern was promoted so heavily at the front end of 2020, why there was this kind of beatification of Jacinda Ardern. And it does cause me to question once more the mosque shooting, because that was really the trigger point for attention on Jacinda and her kind of politics, which was seen as the humane way of being a political leader in the 20th century. People need to start looking at New Zealand, talking about New Zealand, and asking, how would you feel if people entered your home without a warrant, took you away to hold you in a detention centre, held you away from your family, shut your business if they wished without reason, and told you it was simply because you tested positive for COVID, which is pretty much like flu? What exactly does that say for New Zealand, and what does it say for what's about to come to some of the Democrat-run states in America?
Well, so long as the tyranny comes in a safe and dignified manner, then that's fine, right? Is there a safe and dignified way of entering people's homes and forcibly removing them? I mean, what happens when someone resists being removed from their home? Just a thought.
Wayne, and obviously I'm going to leave his last name out because he's living in the new Soviet Union 1950 style. And I got to tell you, this Prime Minister Ardern, oh my goodness.
And here's the one from New Zealand. She's just as bad. And her, what do I got to say? What they did, what she just did, she just locked down New Zealand again. She's locking down Auckland. Or with her in charge, let's call it Nuts Zealand.
I thought, I can't wait to talk to Bronwyn about this tonight, which is, in New Zealand, the former president of, I think, the Young Socialists League or whatever she was, Jacinda Ardern, is now talking about a 4-day work week. This is what she said today in New Zealand.
ultimately, that really sits between employers and employees. But as I've said, there's lots of things we've learnt about COVID and just that flexibility of people working from home, the productivity that can be driven out of that. Really encourage people to think about, if they're an employer and in a position to do so, to think about whether or not that is something that would work for their workplace, because it certainly would help tourism all around the country.
Paul, stupid socialist ideas from other countries don't impact on us at all. What else would stupid ideas would you think she'd come up with?
But it is. It's extraordinarily entitled for the New Zealand Prime Minister to come to our country, try to dictate border protection and immigration policies here with the most nonsensical arguments. And you know what's worse about this whole thing is she's an absolute hypocrite. New Zealand is doing precisely the same thing. I just find the whole thing bizarre.
People ask, how did they march off to Hitler? How did they Heil Hitler? They're doing it right now. As I said, the same reason they marched to Mussolini and saluted Stalin. The people by the numbers are gutless. But it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. Because if we don't unite to fight for freedom and liberty, we are going to die in tyranny. It is in front of our faces. We are losing the COVID war. Freedom or tyranny?